Namaste. Tonight I'm going to read Book 6, Chapter 13, on the description of the battle between Adi and Baka after the discourse of Sunasepha. Om Vakratuna Mahakaya Kuti Surya Om Ekadatta Om Gamgadata Om Yadi Visa Buddhishu Vidyarabin Sanshta Namaste. Indra said, O Prince, the king Harishchandra promised before to Varuna that he would celebrate for his propitiation the great Narameda sacrifice when he would offer his own son as a victim to be immolated. O Prince, you are very intelligent. Can't you grasp this idea that your father has become merciless due to his suffering in this illness, and no sooner you go there than he will make you the victim and tie you to the sacrificial post where you will be slaughtered? The indomitable Indra, thus prohibiting the sun, began to stay there, deluded by the Maya of the great Mahamaya. King, thus whatever the prince heard of his father's severe illness, he wanted to go to his father. Indra repeatedly used to go to him and prevent him from doing so. On the other hand, the king Harishchandra became very much afflicted, and seeing his family, Guru, all-knowing well-wisher Vashishta, close by, asked him, O Bhagavan, what am I to do now? I am now very impatient with the agonies of this disease, and am very weak. Besides, I am very much afraid of it. Kindly give me a good advice and save me. Vashishta said, O king, there is a good remedy for the cure of your disease. It is stated in the Sastras that the sons are of 13 kinds: Asura, Kasatraj, Datrima, Kritima, etc. Therefore pay the reasonable price and bring one good Brahmin boy and perform your sacrifice with that boy. O king, thus Varuna will be pleased and you will be cured of your disease. Vyasa said, O king, hearing thus the words of Vashishta, the king Harishchandra addressed to his minister, O minister-in-chief, you are very sharp and intelligent, therefore you better try your best and seek in my kingdom a Brahmin boy. In case a poor Brahmin be willing, out of his love for money, to give over his son, then give him any amount he wants and bring his son. O minister, by all means bring a Brahmin boy for the sacrifice. In other words, do not be miserly or act lazily to perform my business. You should pray to any Brahmin, thus take this money and give your son, who will be sacrificed in a sacrificial ceremony as a victim. Thus ordered, the minister sought for a Brahmin boy in towns after towns, villages after villages, and houses after houses, till at last he came to know that in his kingdom there was a poor distressed Brahmin named Ajigartha, who had 3 sons. Then the minister gave to the Brahmin that he wanted and purchased his second son named Sunasepha, and brought him before the king, and handed him over to the king, saying that this Brahmin boy is fit for the sacrificial victim. The king then gladly bought the best Brahmins first in the Vedas for the performance of the sacrifice, and collected all the articles requisite for the purpose. When the sacrifice was commenced, the great Muni Vishwamitra, seeing Sunasepha tied, prohibited the king and said, O king, do not be so bold as to sacrifice this boy. Let this boy be free, O long-lived one. I am asking this thing from you today, and if you obey it, certainly it will do good to you. O king, this boy, Sunasepha, is crying. His cries are paining my heart, and I am feeling pity for him. Hear my word and free this boy out of mercy. See, the pure-hearted Ksatras in ancient days used to sacrifice their own bodies and thus preserve others' bodies so that they might attain the heavens. And now you are killing this Brahmin boy forcibly so that you may perceive your own body. Judge how vicious is this your act. Be merciful to this boy. O king, everyone likes his own body in the same exact extent. His own body to the same extent. You are feeling this yourself, therefore if you take my word, then quit this boy. Vyasa said, O king, the king Harishchandra was ailing very much, hence B did not pay any heed to the Muni's words and did not quit the boy. Thereupon the very fiery spirited Viswamitra became very angry with the king. Then Viswamitra, the son of Kusika, the foremost of the knowers of the Vedas, shewed mercy on Sunasepha and gave him the Varuna mantra. Sunasepha, very much afraid to lose his life, earnestly repeatedly remembered Varuna and uttered that mantra in plutatone, lengthened or prolonged. Varuna too, the ocean of mercy, knowing that the Brahmin boy was praising him with hymns, came up to that spot and freed Sunasepha from his bondage and freed the king also from his disease and went back to his own abode. Thus the Maharishi Vishwamitra became very glad to rescue the Muni's son from the jaws of death. The king Harishchandra did not observe the words of Vishwamitra, hence the son of Gadi harbored within his heart anger towards the king. One day, while the king Harishchandra was riding in a forest, and there, at midday on the banks of the river Kausik, when he desired to kill a boar, Vishwamitra, in the garb of an old Brahmin, asked from him everything that he had, including his dominion, and thus cunningly took away everything from the king. The Maharishi Vashishta, seeing his Yajamana Harishchandra suffering much, became wounded and felt pain in his mind. One day, when he met casually with Vishwamitra in a forest, he said, O wicked Kshatriya, a disgrace to your family. You have in vain put on the garb of a Brahmin. Your religion is like a crane. You are full of vanity. You boast for nothing. The best of kings, Harishchandra, is my client. B is faultless. Still, O fool, why are you giving him so much trouble? As you are religious as a crane is religious, so take your birth as a crane. Vishwamitra, thus cursed by Vashishta, cursed Vashishta in return and said, O Vashishta, as long as I will remain a crane, so long you also remain as Sarali or Adibird. Vyasa said, O king, the two angry Munis thus cursed each other, and the two were born as crane and Sarali or Adibird. The crane Vishwamitra built its nest on the top of the tree on the Manasarova lake and began to live there. Vashishta too assumed the form of an Adibird and built his nest on the top of another tree and lived there. Thus the two rishis spent their days in full enmity towards each other. These two birds used to shriek so terribly loud that they became a nuisance to all. They fought daily with each other. They used to strike each other with beaks and wings and nails, and thus they were covered all over their bodies with cuts and wounds, and they were smeared with blood. They began to look like Kimsuka trees. Thus the two rishis, in the shape of birds, in their states of bondage due to each other's curse, passed many years there. Janamejaya said, O Brahmana, kindly tell me how Vashishta and Kausika, the two rishis, became free from their curses. I am very curious to hear this. Vyasa said, Brahma, the grandsire of his subjects, came there with all the devas, filled with mercy on seeing the two rishis at war against each other. Brahma, the lotus seated, made them desist from such a fight, consoled them and freed both of them from each other's curses. Then the devas went back to their own abodes, and the illustrious lotus-seated Brahma went to the Satyaloka, seated on his swan. Maharishi Vashishta and Vishwamitra became then friends and were tied with bonds of affection at the advice of Brahma. They went back to their own ashramas. O king, now see that the Maharishi Vashishta, the son of Mitra Varuna, fought for nothing with Vishwamitra, so painful to both the parties, who then amongst the human beings, the Danavas or the Devas, can conquer his ahamkara, egoism, and be always happy. Therefore, the Chitta Suddhi, the purity of the heart, that purity which imparts to man the blessedness of God vision, is very difficult even for the high-souled persons. With the greatest caution and utmost effort, one has to practice for that. To those persons that are void of this Chitta Suddhi, it is all vain to go to places of pilgrimage, to make charities, to practice tapasya, to be truthful. In fact, anything which is the means to attain dharma becomes useless. O king, Shraddha, faith, is of three kinds: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. To all persons in all their religious matters, the sattvic faith is the only one of the three that yields entire results, and it is very rare in this world. The rajasic faith, done according to due rules, yields half the results thereof, and the tamasic faith is fruitless and inglorious. The tamasic faith arises with those persons that are overwhelmed with lust, anger, greed, etc. Therefore, king, keep to the company of the good, and hear the sastras, Vedanta, etc., and free the heart of worldly desires, and then concentrate it to the worship of the Devi, and live in a sacred place of pilgrimage. Men afraid and troubled with the defects of the Kali Yuga should always take the name of the Devi, sing praises, and meditate on her lotus feet. Thus the jivas will not have any fear of Kali, and the fallen vicious persons will easily be able to cross this ocean of the world and be free. There is no doubt in this. Here ends the 13th chapter of the 6th book on the description of the battle between Adi and Baka after the discourse of Sunasepha in the Maha Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Vedvyas. Shanti.